It is another comparison. Obviously, lately, if you watch my videos, you saw two looks that I created with the Blooming Romance, which is new groundwork from Danessa Myricks, kind of an extended version. It's a follow-up from the original groundwork, Defining Neutrals. At the end of the day, what do I think about these palettes individually, and do you need both of them, or if you haven't purchased this one, should you consider buying this one? I will show you swatches and my thoughts and show you how I created this honestly really beautiful look. When it comes to color story, I really do love. I wanted to mention that I added up a little bit colors from the light work as well, just because I wanted to go a little bit more into this beautiful palette, and I don't want it to, well, not being used as much as I wanted to give a chance for this palette that I also love. So I mixed into today's look both of these palettes as much as I could to create well, whatever it is that I created. I really love these undertones and I hope you will enjoy it as well. And without any further ado, let's jump into this tutorial. Okay guys, here we have pomade from the Defining Neutrals in the top row to the Blooming Romance in the bottom row. So everything from the first lightest here and here to the darkest. I will say how all of these are much more warmer, where this one is much more cooler toned. And we definitely do not have similarities. When it comes to this couple of deeper shades, they are all like really warm toned, which you can see compared to top row. What I wanted to mention that in top row, we have like the first, second, third and fourth shade, and then we have these two which are kind of in between. But I do feel like we have a big skip right here, and that I feel like that one shade in between, especially when we talk about the contour, then I have to mix those specific shades that I need for the day. But if I would have something in between these, it would be perfect for me, because this is the too light for me and this one way too dark. Even though I have to say they do blend really nicely. When it comes to Blooming Romance, we do have like a couple of shades that are similar depth but then different tones. To be honest, I wish this shade right here, the lightest pink shade, is a little bit less pink and a little bit lighter than what it is. This one I really love. It's kind of a perfect for mixing whatever it's that I need. We obviously don't have like something close to the black, like the deepest shade is this one right here. And sometimes, let me say that again, even when what we have on the swatches can sometimes be deceiving in terms of how the product actually will blend and perform on the eyes. Let's move on to a powders. So again, the first row, top row is the Defining Neutrals and the bottom one is Blooming Romance. The first shade really blends into my skin. And again, we do have a big jump from, you know, like really light to whatever else. Next is, again, in this palette, these two may seem like really close, or even these two, but again, they do have different effects. That's what I noticed. They do have a different effect when I blended them. And that is all that that is important at the end of the day. Not only just how they swatch, even though we can tell a lot from the swatches and when it comes to formulation and the color story, but at the end of the day, how they perform, it's what we need. Also wanted to mention that this black right here, it's not true black. It may seem like black, but certain undertone, and it almost feels like it's not matte. It's like it does have a little bit something in it to not make it 100% matte. As already mentioned, I do appreciate that she also put really like greenish olive undertones and pretty cool undertones that we need, and also you can mix that with different shades. One thing that I noticed is that Blooming Romance feels a bit more pigmented than this one. Not only because now this one I have, I think, around 6 months that it has been released, but also that is just the fact from the beginning, since I even started using this palette. Also comments from you guys asking about the opacity of this palette. So in that case, I really do appreciate this one more for the eyes. But either way, like, this one is my go-to when it comes to face routine rather than just the being these powders as the eyeshadows. First I'm starting with Defining Neutrals, and first I'm taking pomade bark, 1/3 of this pomade, together with the rest of the product, Mirage. I'm taking my Sigma 4D HD brush, and I will fill in this area right here, kind of for my contour. This will be my contour right here as well, but I'm filling in with that my eyebrow, and right away I can see like how like all of those light spots inside are actually getting covered, and it's going to be much more kind of a flawless when you apply strokes, because whenever you're applying strokes on your eyebrows you can still have those light gaps in between. Taking Got to Be glue, and this will hold my hairs in place. I know at the moment it looks kind of funny, but we will manage. So now for my eyebrows, regarding that today is the groundwork review. I usually this is what I am using when it comes to my eyebrows. So that is a mixture of sculpted and tourmaline. For me, tourmaline is like too dark. It's really too strong. So that is why I usually use this mixture. Just filling in any gaps. Now I'm gonna go in with P. Louise base, shade 02, and this will help me to make the eyebrow clean, and I will fill in if I have anything later. I'm using my, what is this, Sigma E38. For the top part to clean my eyebrow, I'm gonna use Natasha Denona. This is 6N High Glam Concealer, and actually it's almost like my skin tone. The shade is almost like my skin tone. If I go too light, it wouldn't be good. Just for now, I wanna do this as close to my skin as I can. I'll first try to blend this a little bit into my skin. It's looking good. And then I will make the shape to clean everything, to clean my eyebrow. Actually, I'm loving this concealer. For my under eye at the moment, this shade is too dark, but this is, I think, for the camera, this is my favorite concealer that I've tried so far. And for the makeup, in kind of a lighter version of the concealer that I love is Lancome. It's not here on my desk right now, but it's new Lancome's concealer, and I am in love with that one. It is so good. It's way more sheer than Natasha's, but those two, wow. I thought Tower 28 is going to be my favorite, but it wasn't. Not even Makeup by Mariel. Like, it's good, but depending on, again, your personal preference and your skin type, maybe some of you will prefer one over the other. I don't know, but those are my personal choices. I am applying P. Louise base all over my eyelid, and I am going outside because I will spread the eyeshadow all the way here. Also on my lower lash line right away, but just the other portion right here in my inner corner. I will deal with that later. I don't want it to crease or anything. Also, because I am working with pomades, I'm making sure that I'm not applying too much of this product. Using pomade Sandstone from the Defining Neutrals. And I will just create a line just to help me guide today's look. I am starting with my favorite shade, which is Shade Allure. This is such a gorgeous shade, you guys. I'm spreading this color right next to this line. I don't want to cross this line, and I don't want to go too close to it, and just because I need to blend the edge right. I don't want a too sharp edge next to this line. Blending the edges with a bigger blending brush. This is how it looks like. It's pretty sheer now compared to the pigment that it is. That's because a little bit it mixed with the base underneath, so it gets lighter. So in that case, I take more product, and as you can see, and I go again. I will also use a little bit of pomade Smitten. I feel like these two are in the same kind of a category. Now once this step is done, let's go with the powders. And I am gonna go in with the Allure shade, and I will generously apply that one with a medium blending brush. This is one of my all-time favorites, one of the medium NYX blending brushes. And also I will lift this color towards my eyebrow. So this is pretty like medium shade. I don't want to go too close. At least not with a lot of the pigment, you guys. I'm gonna jump to a sandstone shade, and I prefer this tone for this shade right here that I have, rather than the pink one. It goes better when it comes to that undertone. Well, at least for what I need today, you know. It will help to blend. I'm gonna use a little bit of Smidden color. This one goes on the edges of the previous one. And this one goes really high and on the edges right here as well. So that I have this transition towards my end of this look, and just in case you added too much, you can always use clean brush to buff everything into your skin better. Going in with a layer, once again trying to lift it even more, because I know that a little bit later I will go with the darker shades. With a smaller blending brush, I'm going to jump into the Bliss. Right now we are working with the powders. So here we go with the Bliss powder. From the edge, trying to, from this point, connect everything towards where everything kind of diffuses towards the skin. Now when I open my eye, I do want to see a little bit this color as well peeking through. Now this will depend also on your eye shape. The main thing is when you look straight, the main thing is for you to not only see kind of just one shade, but you want to see as much as you can of that transition as well, meaning you need at least 2 colors to peek through. You can also mix Bliss and Allure a little bit, and will give me customizable shade. Yeah, you can see how it's getting there. Now I want to go into Evermore powder. This one goes only on the edges and also needed to be blended with a smaller blending brush. Whenever you're using dark shades, make sure to also blend everything with a small brush. A little bit of tourmaline just on the edge right here. Now I'm gonna do something a little bit outside of the groundwork just for fun. Plus I want to use this palette way more than I already did. Lightwork 5, the newest multi-chrome release from the Danessa Myricks. Well, actually we do have a mixture of various types of products here. Give it a little spray, shade Powerful. First, let me use my finger, and then I will spread everything with the brush. This is going to be a nice transition based on the colors that we have. It's going to blend everything together. And this is not the only shade that I want to use from this palette. So I want to lift this a little bit. I also want to use a shade Fearless, and that one goes right into my inner corner. And these two, they really work really nicely together. I want to use a little bit of centered shade as well. This one is really chunky, so you have to warm it up on your skin a little bit before you use it. This one goes just in the inner corner right here. I am really loving this, and right now I'm going to clean everything underneath, apply some eyeshadow base, and go in my waterline with the Inglots MC Gel eyeliner in number 77, because tourmaline is not waterproof, so that's why I'm using this. Now I know this looks a little bit harsh. I took tourmaline pomade around my lower lash line, and I'm going to blend this as much as I can. Also diffuse it a little bit with the blending brush. Taking tourmaline powder for around the edges of the lash line on top of the pomade, blending it a little bit, same as previous one. Taking shade Evermore, but now I'm talking about the powders, but with smaller pointy brush, goes on the edges of the tourmaline. And now shade Allure, my favorite shade. Now to combine everything, I'm going in with tourmaline pomade right here, and we will connect everything just on the edge. Also tourmaline powder, small blending brush to blend everything, and this will give a little bit of depth and connect also everything that we have in here. I have to clean everything around this. Apply my liner on top of this upper waterline. Apply some mascara and lashes, you guys, as well, of course. And yeah, we'll be right back. Let's finish off this look. So when it comes to my lips, I do have a mixture of Bliss and Allure pomade. So I applied Bliss pomade and then on top of it Allure. And then to lighten up the center, I added a little bit of the sandstone pomade in it, so that it's not that dark. So these two palettes today, when it comes to face, will be perfect mixture because I can do contour with this and blush with this palette. I'm gonna go in with Desert, but make sure to warm it up before you apply that product onto your brush. This is just like a tint of a color. I already do have a foundation on, but you know what, I want to apply a little bit of the Harvest pomade as well to make this contour a little bit darker. Yeah, in case you're wondering, I'm using my Sigma 3DHD kabuki brush, or you can also apply it with your finger and then blend it with your brush. That way you will have bigger opacity. I don't actually suggest you go directly when you take out the product with your brush, because it will cut up in your brush in a weird way, so it's better to warm it up before you work on the one on your skin. But yeah, this one is really natural looking, really soft contour. I also wanted to apply that one for my nose contour as well. When it comes to blush, I'm gonna go in with the Allure shade, or definitely within the mixture of Allure and Bliss, because I want this to match what I do have on my lips today. This is definitely different texture than her Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder Flushed products, which I do prefer over these when it comes to application and blending, but I really do love the color undertones in here more than in those. Let's see what happens if I go directly with my finger. I mean, you definitely can reach the opacity. It's just the way of its application is different. I did apply my concealer and now I will go in with, well, I don't use this one to lighten up. I really prefer the regular concealer product structure. So I'm gonna go in, wait a second, is this too? I wanna go in with chiseled powder, set everything. I feel like I miss color in between for my perfect contour color here, because the next one is too deep and this one feels like it's a bit too light. So in order to do that, you should mix two powders to get, for example, my perfect shade, which is not practical. But I need just a tiny bit, which is okay. And I really prefer more like a kind of a natural finish. It's just a bit harder to reach such a small area with a brush, as we already discussed. And now, of course, for my blush, I will go in with the Allure shade, which obviously can be a little bit too dark. We'll see now what's going to happen. But I really, really love this shade. Let me use sandstone powder for the area underneath my eye instead of regular powder. Obviously, you're not gonna get a lot of usage out of this one when it comes to your whole face. So you can either use this just to lighten up underneath your eye. I will finish off the rest of my face and I will be right back with my final thoughts. So let's talk about the difference between these two groundworks. So when it comes to defining neutrals, as the name says, obviously we do have a different color story. These are both made for brows, face, eyes and lips, but one or the other is kind of a more suitable for certain application. For example, obviously this one is great shade range for the blushes, where this one is more leaning for the bronzers and contour when it comes to face. When it comes to eyebrows, for the most part, this is gonna be your go-to unless you are having specific undertone and you wanna play with those red and oranges and mauve undertones, something that can be really, really helpful. At the end, I just wanted to mention how beautifully this shades from the light work combined really nicely with today's look. It blended so nicely and I really love the end result. Actually this also, but both of them, they feel nice on the lips. But the thing is, this is not long-wear formula. The only way you can do it is if you apply a little bit Duraline to the pomades to make them long wear. That's the reason why I apply different products in my waterline. When it comes to other portion of the eye, I'm fine using this pomades and they are actually really nice and easy to work with. It is good to set them because they will crease. The initial issue that we had with the first one was the opacity and how these tones worked really. When you blend them, they were kind of sheer, but as you can see, this one, it does feel a little bit more pigmented than the other one. So at the end of the day, you definitely can divide these two palettes and for you to create one complete look that you need. Also, you can mix these, both of these palettes and also get huge ratio of the colors that you need. So I think that is something that is convenient. Of course, when it comes to convenience, I know this is not the perfect size. Pomades are still okay, but these powders, if you're gonna use them primarily for the eyeshadows, it is fine. But if you're gonna use them for anything else, like for your face, it does get a little bit tricky because it is so, the powders are just in so narrow. If you would like to create kind of a complete look like these are, and if you are into these tones, I would highly suggest for you to put your hands on this palette, especially if you do have groundwork already. This is different variation and it will give you more ways to be even more creative. If you don't have groundwork, just consider the fact if you need more of a color or if you need something that is more basic for your everyday face, because with this this is like all in one and you can create so many basic neutral looks when it comes to this one. This is kind of an extension and something that makes the look complete palette. Of course, you can use it on its own, probably minus the eyebrows because of the reddish undertone, I would say. But overall, it is rosy palette and even the lightest one blended with wherever. Next we have in this palette is still that undertone where in this one, you can be kind of a more neutral based and it will give you range to do more of that you need for your everyday looks. Hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Before you leave, make sure to watch this video where I primarily used this new Bloomin Romance palette and I also love the look that I created right here. So just so that you can have a little bit more inspiration when it comes to this palette. And guys, I will see you really soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.